Good morning, and thank you for joining us at Toronto Police Headquarters. My name is Constable Carolyn DeClute, and I am here today to introduce Executive Director Ryan Teschner of the Toronto Police Services Board.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Teschner, and I am the Executive Director of the Toronto Police Services Board. This past June, the Board appointed James Ramer as the Interim Chief of Police for the Toronto Police Service, following the retirement of former Chief Mark Saunders. As this is the first public appearance by our new Interim Chief Jim Ramer, I would like to say a few words on behalf of the Board before we begin. The peaceful marches around our city over the last many weeks are a clear reminder that we can and must listen, and then work in partnership to improve the social fabric that holds us together. In Interim Chief Ramer, the Board has selected an individual who is committed to listening and to doing the hard work, together with Toronto's diverse communities, to build and enhance public trust in the Toronto Police Service. Previously, the Deputy Chief of Specialized Operations, Jim Ramer was responsible for the service's various investigative squads and a variety of uniformed specialized units. He has become a leader in policing, nationally and internationally, known for his collaborative approach and commitment to enhancing community safety in the public interest. Chief Ramer also has a long history of community engagement and has continuously worked to act to promote diversity and inclusivity within all ranks of the service, working to ensure that the frontline and senior officers of the service reflect the communities that we serve. A noted leader in the policing community, Chief Ramer has championed the development of a gang prevention strategy, which focuses on proactive engagement with young people who may be in conflict with the law and includes community outreach and engagement with partners in communities most impacted by crime. At this pivotal time in policing history, as we work to ensure that the expectations of members of all of Toronto communities are met, and that their voices are heard, we look to Chief Ramer and his demonstrated commitment to working with communities to foster meaningful partnerships and effective, sustained mobilization. The Board is confident in Chief Ramer's ability to provide professional, capable, and compassionate leadership during this period, and we look forward to working with him in the months ahead. I'd like to introduce Chief Ramer. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining with me today in my first news conference as Interim Chief of the Toronto Police Service. I'd like to start by acknowledging and thanking Mark Saunders for his service as Chief and as a 38-year member of the Toronto Police. Chief Saunders set a standard of professionalism and excellence that all members of the service, including myself, aspire to maintain. I wish him the very best in all his future endeavors. Having served 40 years myself, I know the sacrifices that were made in order for him to fulfill his commitment to public service. Until such time as the Toronto Police Services Board selects our next chief, I am honored to have been asked to lead the TPS during this extremely challenging time. I do not face these challenges alone. I am surrounded by a very capable command team, qualified senior officers, and dedicated frontline members, both uniform and civilian. Over the next several months, my priorities will be as follows. Finding ways to work with our partners to better address mental health calls for service, both through an allocation of resources and by identifying a more robust solution. Supporting initiatives under our Equity, Inclusion, and Human Rights Unit, the first of its kind in Canada, which continue our commitment to identifying and eliminating systemic issues of anti-Black racism and improve our capacity in areas of workplace harassment and gender and trans inclusion. Expanding our efforts to combat gun and gang violence by putting more focus on gang prevention strategies. A more aggressive approach to traffic enforcement, one which will help make our roads safer for everyone. And finally, the service-wide implementation of body-worn cameras, pending approval by the Toronto Police Services Board at its next meeting, which will enhance the transparency of interactions between the police and the public. My commitment through all of this is to show our communities that in the City of Toronto, residents can trust the police, have faith in the police, and feel safe and secure to enjoy their daily lives with the police. An important way that the Toronto Police Service will do better by others is by ensuring we are held accountable for our own actions. By way of illustration, I want to take this opportunity to address a very significant issue. As everyone knows, the matter of DeFonte Miller and the Theriault brothers has been a complex case. Even with the recent verdict, the case is far from over. I also want to acknowledge that Mr. Miller's life has forever been impacted by the events of that evening. Today, a report completed by the Office of the Independent Police Review Director and delivered to the Police Services Board has been shared with DeFonte Miller and his counsel. I am not permitted to comment on the details of the report or to release it. There are confidentiality requirements in the Police Services Act that our organization must abide by. I can share that generally, the report focused on the issue of a police service's duty to report to the Special Investigations Unit. It found that on the night in question, we were notified of the actions of Constable Theriault while he was on leave, also known as off-duty. As we have so many times before, we used the information available to us that evening to determine whether we should report to the SIU. We made the wrong decision that night. As a result of that decision, trust has been broken between the police, DeFonte Miller, and the broader community. For that, on behalf of the Toronto Police Service, I want to apologize. From now on, the Toronto Police will notify the SIU in all cases where a police officer has been involved in an incident that results in serious injury. We are revising our procedures in this area and will be implementing the new, more robust legislation regarding the reporting requirement for SIU matters. We understand clearly now the legislation does not distinguish between on-duty and off-duty conduct, and neither will we. The SIU plays an extremely important function in ensuring accountability and public trust. I will ensure that the SIU makes a decision on whether to invoke their mandate. I want to close by saying I am proud of the members of the Toronto Police Service. They are a team of incredibly diverse professionals who continue to answer the call of service to the community every single day. They know the value of community partnerships. They know that without them, progress is not possible. They know we are facing a difficult time, and they are ready. Thank you. And I'll take some questions.
Catherine McDonald from Global, go ahead with your first question.
Hi, Deputy Chief. It's Catherine. Thanks for taking my call. I'm just wondering if you can talk about what led to the decision that night that the Theriault brothers were involved in the incident with DeFonte Miller that led you to not report to the SIU.
Well, I mean, it's still an investigation that is still underway. There's other aspects of the investigation that the OIPRD must complete, and I can't comment on it.
Do you have a follow-up question, Catherine?
Hi, one more question. If you can speak to, you said one of the priorities you have relates to body-worn cameras for officers. Give us an idea of the timeline. What can the public expect as far as how many officers will be wearing these cameras and how quickly we could see them wearing them?
Actually, that's a great question. I'm hoping and optimistic for approval by the board at their next scheduled board meeting. That being the case, I fully anticipate that by year end, we should have virtually all our personnel frontline personnel wearing body-worn cameras.
Ashley Lagazik, News Talk 1010, go ahead with your question.
Good morning. Thanks very much for taking my question, Interim Chief. Now that the OIPRD report has been completed and Michael Theriault has been convicted of a crime, is he still employed by the Toronto Police Service? And if so, why?
He is still employed by the service, but however, the case is not concluded. The actual court matter that he's involved in has not been completed, and plus my understanding is both counsel have appealed the matter to a higher level, so it's not completed yet, and so there'll be no determination made until the court case is actually completed.
Thank you. And my follow-up is about transparency, which you did touch on a little bit. Obviously, Chief Saunders retired last week. This is the first time we get to speak with you and kind of get to know you. So my question is twofold. So first of all, what do you want the people of Toronto to know so that they have confidence in you until a permanent chief is chosen? And second, were today's comments on the Miller case a step toward more transparency?
Well, I guess in some ways part two has sort of answered question one. I suppose the key things I would like to talk about and ensure the city that one of my priorities is transparency and accountability. And we will be accountable for what we are doing. You're going to see that our core philosophy is going to continue to be community policing. You'll see it in our leadership developments, you'll see it in our strategies, and virtually everything that we do. You're going to see that we're going to embrace procedural justice. We will work with our communities continually. They will understand what we're doing, and in fact, they will work with us to work on our policies and procedures, and they will be part of it. They will be part of it. They are part of the community. We are part of the community, and we will work together to accomplish that. So another big piece will be communication. We need to communicate, and I find that when we are communicating, we're creating trust, we're creating understanding, we create familiarity, and we create mutual respect. And we see that so many times when we work together, and I use the example of the PACER report. We had various groups that were a party or a part of that very valuable report. And there was great discussion, there was people that had different points of view, but everybody ultimately worked together, and there was great respect and understanding, and that's the kind of work I would like to see continue.
Thank you. Wendy Gillis, Toronto Star, go ahead with your question.
Hi, good morning, Interim Chief Ramer. I wanted to ask you about the announcement this morning. As you know, the Durham Regional Police made a similar announcement very soon after this incident saying, you know, we will commit to calling the SIU regardless of whether, you know, that we know this officer was off duty or on duty. What has taken Toronto Police so long to make a similar call?
I think there's maybe a couple of aspects to it. I mean, first of all, I will tell you that in the interim, under the leadership of our current SIU liaison officer, Superintendent Chris Kirkpatrick, there has been much better discussion with the SIU, and that's been going on for some time under Chief Saunders' direction. I suspect that perhaps there was a report forthcoming, and we're waiting for the outcome of it. But from my perspective, this is something needs to be done. It's a practice we need to follow, and I can assure you it will be followed from now on.
Can I ask why it took so long to issue an apology to Defonte Miller and his family?
Well, this is only day 5 for me, and given what a report that I just received, I felt it was important for me as a chief to do that.
Thank you. Faiza Amin, City TV, go ahead with your question.
Hi, good morning, Chief. Can you talk a little bit about the role John Terrio played, Michael's father, in the investigation? There were allegations by the lawyer that there was a cover-up, and has he been cooperating with this investigation?
As far as I know, that may still very well be under investigation, so I'm not going to comment on it.
Can you pinpoint the steps that Toronto Police should have taken that night that they didn't, that led to, you saying that SIU should have been called?
I just think the wrong decision was made, and in retrospect, and with the ability of hindsight and everything that I'm now aware of, I feel it was the wrong decision, and the SIU should have been called.
Lorenda Redekop, CBC, go ahead with your question.
You said that Toronto police were aware that night. Who in the police force was told, and did that include the chief?
Actually, you have to be more specific with the question.
You said that the night of the beating, Toronto police were informed. Was the police chief one of the people who was informed?
No, we have a SIU designate that was informed, officers that are addressed those calls when they come in. The chief was not informed, and in fact, as with I as well, we did not find out, and I think till some 5 months after the incident occurred.
And then a follow-up. When did you let DeFonte Miller know about this report?
The family, my understanding, and I don't control that, is the report has gone out, I believe, today, and so they have the report.
Molly Hayes, Globe and Mail, go ahead with your question. Go ahead, Molly. Do we have any other questions? Wendy Gillis, Toronto Star, do you have another question?
I would like to apologize because I didn't hear the answer from the interim chief. When did DeFonte Miller's family get this report?
My understanding is it was received today.
Molly, did you want to ask your question? It's Molly Hayes from the Globe and Mail. That's it for questions. Thank you.
We're done?